Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Camila.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
As I told you before we started like recording, I'm a bit annoyed by the cats. But
hmm
yeah, as you know, I have five cats, and they cats. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but every cat has a personality, a strong personality. And imagine dealing with five strong personalities daily.
I can't imagine that
Yeah.
in one house.
Have you had cats?
Hmm?
Did you have cats in the past?
Yes, I in the past I did have cats. I had two brother cats who also had two very different personalities.
Hmm. Yeah. How was that?
It was fun for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the situation was interesting
Mm-hmm.
because I lived in this apartment and I would keep the kitchen window open
Mm-hmm.
so they could go outside when they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to keep a litter box in my apartment because they would go
Oh.
outside. And the problem would be when the one cat, who was a very skilled hunter, would bring in a bird or some other animal. And there were two occasions when I came home and he would be chasing a bird around the kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a little crazy.
But would he actually kill the animals?
So the two times that I walked in on the birds in the kitchen, one was a very young bird and it wasn't injured at all. He was just trying to chase it around. I guess he must have caught it, but then they like to play with the animals, I think.
Yeah, that's
So I was
brutal.
yeah, yeah, I was able to save this little bird and drive it to another part of town and just let it go, release it. And then one morning, there was a larger bird and its wing was injured. So there was like a little blood. And I took the bird and I called the vet. And the
Wow.
veterinarian said, well, there may not be much that we can do for now. If you put some flour on the wound, it'll help with the bleeding, and then you can bring it into our office. So I did.
Oh, you
Yeah,
saved.
and I don't know if it was saved. I don't know of the outcome. I was like on my way to a university class, so I went in late so I could take this bird to the vet, and I just
You're so
left
lovely,
it there.
Patricia.
I just left it there.
Amazing. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Cats, they hunt things like if they
hmm
can, and they
Oh
kill and
yeah.
they bring it home. That's
Do your cats ever go outside though, or are they always
mm,
inside?
yeah, yeah. Well, the story of my cats, I mean, they're not really my cats. So my
hmm
mom, could I say that she clutter cats? She
She collects.
collect. I mean, it's not her fault either. I mean, she
Yeah.
loves cats and she lives in a small town and people know she loves cats. And
hmm
whenever a cat has little cats, they,
Kittens.
kittens, yes, when they have kittens, people, they, they drive, no, not they drive, they drop the cats there.
They drop the cats off at her
Yeah,
place.
they drop the cats
hmm
off at her place and then she takes care of them. And she has 35 so far, if I remember incorrectly. And then sometimes the cats will get sick, will get sick. Yeah. So my five cats, it's the cats that she had, but they got really sick. And since she lives in this little town with no vet, she sent me the cats, and now I have five, and I'm taking care of them. And that makes it harder because all of them need to have a surgery in the near future, or they had a surgery, and so they demand a lot of attention. but they're healthy. They have some chronic disease, but they're healthy normally most of the time. So I need to take care of them, and I want to actually, but there are days like today where I had a lesson with you. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to double check my notes, and but
Mm.
they wanted to play because it's Sunday morning, and they they haven't seen me all night. And so usually when I first open my door, because I cannot sleep with them because I'm allergic to cats. So once I open my door, they're like all over me, and I wanted to get more prepared for this. Yes, but I think it's life, right? It's not how we planned out.
Yeah, yeah, you are the cat angel.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
and that's life. Exactly. It doesn't always go as planned.
Yeah. Yeah, but what can we do, right? But yeah, anyway, so we are here to
Mhm.
talk about um spirituality, I guess. Could I frame it that way? Spirituality?
Yeah, I would categorize it as that. Mhm.
Mhm. So we both watched a video called Healing Core Wounds. And I told you when I invite you to discuss this topic that that video meant a lot to me. But as I was watching, actually, it was not the right video, but it was good. Remember that I told you this? Like, I want to tell you the story of this video because there is another video because he has so many videos, and I have watched. Can I say I have binge watched
You
all of
binge
his?
watched, yeah. You've binge watched every all of his videos.
Yeah, and there
Mhm.
is one particular video that was with me as I was dealing with something really huge. And I
Mhm.
wanted to tell you how that video fit in that time of my life. But it turns out that I gave you a different video. And as I was watching it, I was making notes. I was like, but not the video. But it was a good video too. I have never watched this one, but it was good. It was not
It was
correct.
good. So now I'm curious about the other one and I hope you share the link with
I
me.
will. I will. Yeah,
Okay.
I will. But it was good too. But it has no story connected to it. So the story
Okay.
is us discussing it, I guess. Now is that's
Nice.
the story. So the video is called Healing Core Wounds. And and what I liked the most about the video is that he starts the video saying that we are constantly, I'm not sure about you, but I was making the wrong question. I would wake up every day and I would open my window and I would ask the universe the question that Matt Kahn says we should not ask, that it is, sorry, how am I doing, universe? How am
Mhm.
I doing? And then I guess I expected sort of like an answer like, you're doing well, daughter. I don't know how the universe
Mhm.
would address me.
Mhm.
But he said that this question is not helpful and we should replace this question with another question that is, what do I need? And I wanted to ask you, what do you think about these introductions, those two questions that he presents?
I liked it. Um and this how are you doing reminds me of a quote that one of my other students just said randomly that really stuck with me. And we were having a conversation, and she said, at any given moment, everybody's just doing the best that they can for that moment, like, you mentioned that you wanted to really feel prepared coming into this lesson and have like a peaceful, serene morning, but your cats gave you something else.
Yeah.
So, to start this session, you're here doing the best you can for this moment. Maybe it's not what you had imagined or expected. So, I thought that was really a nice opening and something nice to think about instead of
Mhm.
asking, how am I doing? Maybe, what do I need? I think it's a brilliant way to just take a pause, I guess.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yes. I will ask. I'm not sure. I guess this "how am I doing" thing shows, n like I said, like I was coming here and I wanted it to be one way. I had an expectation for myself. How can I put this? Like, yeah, he says that we are assuming self-doubt, like we are not up for the perfection of the moment that has been created. So do you believe this? Like every moment is how it was meant to be in the first place?
I do.
Hmm.
I do. Um,
Yeah.
it's not always easy to remember that,
Hmm.
but I generally believe that everything is the way that it's supposed to be, and we are right where we need to be, even when it's very painful or it's something that we don't understand. Like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Um, and that just, for me, it just comes from a place of trusting the universe. Um, I don't know. Yeah, just trusting it
Hmm. Hmm.
that we're right where we should be.
Yeah. Amazing.
What
Amazing.
about you? What do you I feel like
Hmm.
you have a little bit of doubt about that.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's I'm in a moment right now. I discovered something. I was attending a retreat 2 weeks
Hmm.
ago, a silent retreat at home, a virtual, and I was meditating and I was attending different workshops, and I was sitting down all day in a cushion, and I discovered that actually I was feeling a lot of pain in my body because I was not like physically prepared to sit and like be sitting 12 hours in a cushion. Like that's too much. Uh, It was too much. And then I realized that I've been trying to, it's like we have steps. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but I think we, before we lean towards spirituality, we go about spirituality, we pursue.
Bef-
What?
yeah, before we
Mm.
like, you mean like do a spiritual practice or get
Yeah,
into spirituality?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Before we get into spirituality, there are some things in life
Hmm.
that should be in order, I think, or we not maybe completely, but there are some movements we need to do. Like, so I'll give you an example. Like eating, like being healthy. You cannot, I mean, you can, but you cannot eat two burgers and meditate. It makes no sense. Like, what's the point? Like, so
Hmm.
I guess I still am. Like, I'm eating poorly. I'm not exercising. I'm not, I, I took two falls last year as I was moving and I hurt my car, corks, corks. I don't know how to call this.
Wait, what did you hurt?
It's a bone. It's called corks. I don't know. Let
Coccyx?
coccyx.
Your
That.
tailbone
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
bottom of your spine, your coccyx. Yeah. Oh,
Coccyx.
so
So
sitting would be
extremely
difficult if you're not
painful.
fully healed. Yeah.
Extremely painful. And I work sitting. I mean, and it's not like I don't have money to go see a doctor. I'm just neglecting myself, really.
Hmm.
And I'm not going, but I find time to meditate. I find time to sit a week. But whenever I'm like, I need to go to the doctor, I need to do some exams to see how my health is I'm like, but I'm so busy. I have so many lessons. I can do it. So I realized that I was pursuing spirituality instead of take care of myself. There are basic needs that I need to address first. And so so I was actually using spirituality as a band-aid to
Mhm.
my pain, to my wounds, to not look in the direction that I had to look. I was sort of hoping that if I meditate enough, if I do a spiritual practice for long enough, I will get enlightened, and then I won't have to deal with the things that I'm supposed to deal now. So I would lose the sense of self. And then does that really matter? The things that I had to address? I mean, I don't think, because now I'm enlightened, it doesn't matter. So yeah, right now I'm not sure where I am. So this question, like, how am I doing, universe? I I guess I will replace it for the question, what do I need? And I know that what do I need? I need to do the still do the practice that I'm doing, meditating, reading, searching, learning more. But aside aside to that,
um, aside from that,
aside from that,
or
I
in
need
addition to that,
yeah. In addition to that, I also need to take care of my physical body and my mind and other things. So yeah, I guess it's good that I realized that now. So I think it's it was the right moment to come to this realization, I guess. What about you in the spiritual path? How are you doing?
okay. So first, I just have a little observation.
Mm,
It's kind of funny that you intended on discussing a different video and you realized you sent me the wrong video. So you watched this one and you thought this is good, but it seems like it's given you what you need
yes,
to
yes.
realize, okay, I need to take care of my physical needs, my mental needs. So
Everything is perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Um, so my spiritual path, yeah, it's been good. It's been regular. I wake up every morning pretty early, as you know, and do some yoga practice.
Mhm.
And an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about yoga is that all of the physical postures, like those crazy shapes that we make with our bodies, um, the true purpose of those is to prepare the body to sit in meditation.
Mm.
So, so doing those asanas, those postures, lets your spine move in many different directions, twisting forward, backwards, to the sides, and it kind of opens that central subtle part
Mhm.
of the body where all of the chakras are, um, and physical part of the body, the spine and your muscles and bones. It just kind of awakens them so that you can sit for a long period of time in
Mhm.
meditation. So
Mhm.
that's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know. Um, but like you, I, of course, use yoga and meditation. um, I like how you said as a band-aid. I use it too in the same way to just kind of melt away any stress
Mhm.
or troubles or worries that I have, because I know that when I'm on the yoga mat, my mind is more focused on my body, on my breathing, and so it just kind of goes away. The real trick and challenge is taking that state or those feelings that I have when I'm on the yoga mat, taking them throughout my day and kind of
Yeah.
carrying that feeling, for the rest of my day. And so I had recently had a yoga teacher who said, if we can maintain a nice long breath when we're in all of these different shapes and postures, if we can do that, then throughout the day, throughout our lives, we can learn to maintain a nice, calm, even breath when we're in situations that do give us stress and anxiety. So
Yeah. That's a great challenge for me, Patricia. Like,
it's a challenge.
it's so easy to be spiritual when you're alone. When
Mm-hmm.
I that retreat that I attended, a week retreat, I was so peaceful. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I called my mother, I, oh my God, I was like, wow, that's the best thing I could do. That's my best after retreat. Cannot even imagine how would it be like if I was not meditate. I had a friend telling me that, wow, you meditate and you're that reactive. Imagine if you didn't meditate. I cannot. I mean, yeah, I tend to be very reactive. And but usually what's happening now is that I meditate and I still can react really fast and say things that I don't actually mean. But I can, as soon as sometimes I catch myself in the process of saying this unconscious, how to say,
Unconsciously or
unconscious, that word,
unconscious.
unconscious, unconscious
Mm-hmm.
things. I catch myself saying those, and I'm like, oh no, forget it, forget about it. And then I can, it's like a double personality thing. No, let it go. Never mind. Or I will finish saying that and I'll be, wow, there was a moment of unconscious. And then I won't be beating myself up for this, for having said those things. I will I will say sorry, didn't mean it. And I won't be like, oh, how I won't be like dwelling, I don't know.
You won't be. Say it again.
I meant to say, I guess it's not drowning, it's
Dwelling.
dwelling,
Yeah.
dwelling on those, on that.
You won't be dwelling on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You just kind of let it go.
yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah.
let it go. But it's still difficult. It's easy to be alone, to yeah, to feel peaceful. But I guess that's the challenge, right? We do this formal practice to be better in the
Yeah.
world with the people.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've had a similar conversation with a good friend of mine,
Mm,
and she also has a daughter.
mm.
And we sometimes say, imagine if we didn't practice yoga or meditation, we would probably be like beating our kids.
Wow.
Because we have those moments as parents where we might yell or raise our voice to our child, and then
Yeah.
immediately after you just feel bad and you say, I'm really sorry. We reacted quickly. I'm sorry. And then you still feel bad, but it's like if I didn't practice meditation or if I had no spiritual practice at all, what would this look like as a parent? It might be
Yeah.
very
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine that being a parent, it must not be easy, right?
well, it's just like dealing with anyone that we have close in our lives, like you said, your mother, or depending, some people go to the workplace and they have a boss who they personalities clash and
Yeah.
we react to things.
Yeah. No,
So
it's true. It's true. Yeah. It's good that we have this practice then. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. So I wanted to he also talks about ego he says that ego are the compulsive. I'm looking down because I'm reading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ego are the compulsive patterns that orbit your personality, not the illness of having a personality. Something that I've learned from Matt Kahn watching his videos is that he has a very compassive um, heal of the ego. As many people that I've been in contact with, friends, or sometimes even teachers, they will say that ego is a bad thing, is like this bad word, and we should feel ashamed of having one. And my ego, sorry, that's my ego, it was my ego. And but the way he frames ego, sometimes he'll say that ego, it's like a child, like a 3, 4, 5-year-old child. Would you talk to a 5-year-old the way you talk to yourself? So it's not a way at all of
Mhm.
address the child. So I like how he frames ego really, and we all have one. And so yeah, he says that we need to reform our personalities by healing the ego within it. And ego is not a bad word. Um, that we should rehabilitate our egos and not deny that we have one. So I wanted to ask you, how do you
Mm.
see a ego? Do you have an opinion on the ego?
Um, yeah, it's something I don't think about too much,
Mm-hmm.
unless another person to me is coming across as having a strong one.
Mm,
And then I may notice it or put a label on it like, oh, they're very egocentric. Um, so it's something I don't think about too much, but I really
mm,
did like his definition of ego,
yeah,
and as you mentioned, like the compassionate way that he views the ego.
yeah, yeah. No, I like that. I like that. Sometimes I will see people and I will see them being very egocentric. And
Mhm.
before I would classify them as being bad, but now actually, so let's take Bolsonaro or Trump, for example. If I don't do this work, I could actually hate them, especially Bolsonaro, for everything that's happening, blame him, blame it on him, and be very angry, frustrated. But if I picture him as a unconscious person, like a 5 or even less, a 3-year old, that it hurts as well. It's easier if I frame everyone as being hurt, being someone who was neglected or abused or suffered loss. We can be more like compassionate towards them if we do that. Sometimes it'll be difficult, but possible. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So he says that also that we have this compulsive patterns. Uh, they are reflecting 4 prime wounds, and then he talks about neglect, abuse, codependence, and loss. And yeah, so I would like to ask you to maybe talk about those patterns a bit, explain them, maybe.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remember how he described them. He described them so eloquently. So
Yeah.
neglect is, it's like refusing to give affection.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, the person would feel unloved, uncared for. They don't get any attention. Um, but then he also said that people who have been neglected are similar to those who have been abused. And those who have been abused are receiving a lot of attention, but it's in a very aggressive,
Yeah.
negative way. and the person abusing is just wanting to control them. So it's like attention without love
Yeah.
and affection.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 I neglect. I like how he, because sometimes those things could happen so subtly in our lives. And I
Mhm.
like the example. I mean, I mean, I could relate with the example that he gave with his parents. I feel exactly the same, and I didn't know there was neglect at all. Like my parents, they would, I mean, maybe it's obvious, but it wasn't to me. So my parents, they wouldn't check my grades. I would come home with a paper because back then it was a paper you would with all your grades, math,
Mhm. Yeah.
chemistry, and biology. And I would have my grades, and I would come home and I would show them to my parents, and I wanted them to see and to acknowledge how good of a student I was. I wanted that them to say
Yeah.
congratulations and wow, you nailed it. But they would say, "Oh no, I know you did fine. I did fine," but they wouldn't check. And then
Oh.
I would keep trying, like my all my study life. I mean, I wanted them to acknowledge I went to two colleges simultaneously. I attended two
Whoa.
colleges because I guess I wanted them to, I don't know, to recognize me as a smart girl. I don't know.
Wow.
But
And be
but
proud of you.
and be
And
proud of me. But they never said anything. They just said they would say, "I knew, I knew." Like you graduated with honors. I knew you would. But and sometimes I would think, but what if I tell them that I failed, actually, that I didn't, that I did
Mhm.
it? I mean, would they pay attention? But they, I mean, I guess they trusted me too much. And at some point in my family dynamic, I became the parent because they would ask me for advice. They would ask me to solve the things. What will you do in this situation, Camila? How will you handle this? And and then I think that this neglection, like, I mean, that's the primarily like my core want is I've, I, yeah, sometimes I'm looking for affection and I am looking the affection from people that won't give it to me and I know that they can't. So I can't because that's love for me, like not caring, like, and sometimes people will come to me looking for maybe love or but I will be the one because they're looking, I will be the one that won't give that to them. So that it was good to see Matt framing those things because sometimes, it feels to me like, I mean, that's a little bit of psychology as well. Spirituality and psychology, they can relate sometimes because you will think, I mean, if you would talk to me like 3 years ago, I would think that spirituality came come down to sitting and praying and
Mhm.
expecting the universe will give you. And the universe will give you, but there are some things that you need to do in order to be given things. Like it's not just praying, sitting down and praying. It's actually understanding the patterns and understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting how you mentioned like the flip side, like the flip that you felt like you were the parent
Yeah.
at some point. And I think that is related to codependency,
Mm-hmm.
because I've read about codependency before. And actually, I was reading a little more this week after I watched the video, or as I was watching the video. And that's one of the signs. It's where, like, the the child in a codependent family dynamic, the child has to validate the feelings of the parents, and
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of like serving the parents. And it did mention that flip flop where the child becomes like the parents.
Wow.
um yeah, I'll send you
Please.
something that I read about that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Please, please. But Patricia, so we have neglect, we have
Mhm.
codependence, loss, and abuse. Do you think that, I mean, I like that Matt, he does something called repeat after me. In all of his videos, he asks you to repeat after him, like some words. And he says that we can heal this by going about it gently, approaching it gently with focus and respect. So I wanted to ask you, what do you agree with that? What do you think could be the best way to heal those wounds?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know the best way to heal those wounds, but with focus and respect, definitely. And forgiveness, I think, is
Yeah.
a big part of it. Like forgiving the person. Like if you have a particular person in your life, whether it was your mom or your dad, who maybe brought about some of these wounds within you, being able to forgive the person
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging that this happened, but I'm going to forgive and I'm going to let it go. So focus and respect, I think, are a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the repeat after me thing. So
Mm.
that was the thing that I didn't really like,
Yeah. Why?
which is interesting. I think it was just hearing all of the people in the room like saying it. It just did not resonate with me. It just felt kind of strange. Um, Maybe because I've done these guided meditations before, and it's like the teacher giving the meditation would say something, and then you just kind of repeat it in your mind silently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because I'm used to doing it just in my mind silently and not hearing everyone else do it. And maybe the way that I repeat it is a different speed or a different tone,
Mm-hmm.
or I might emphasize one word a little longer. So that's probably why I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The actual words I thought were very nice, but just hearing everyone do it like da 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 da, I just
Mm.
there's something about it that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. What I do with the repeat after me, I I write them down
mhm.
and then I use it as a prayer. So here
Oh,
I have
nice.
the repeat after me, like I allow all associations in my subconscious mind that make neglect, abuse, codependence, and loss familiar to be cleared out of my energy field. I I
Yeah.
will pause and I will write. I'll pause. I'll write.
Mhm.
I don't. I don't. Maybe I will repeat with them if I watch the video twice. I
Yeah.
will do it, but the first time I like to write them down and then I study. So I
Yeah.
have I shouldn't. I mean, I'm hurting the trees, but I actually I have lots of papers that I write the
I took
spiritual things.
notes. I took notes too. I have a journal that I keep, and I took
Yeah,
notes for that video as well. Yeah. No, I like writing things down on paper.
yeah, me too, me too. Feel
It's
bit
helpful.
guilty, but yeah. So I have lots of papers, and
Hmm.
they are all over the place. And I have the hopes that one day I'll sit down and I'll, because sometimes I feel like I write a lot of unnecessary information that I already know just to,
Hmm.
so one day I want to compile of them with summary, do a summary because too much could be. Yeah. So I like the after me. It feels to me I come from I come from a very religious background.
Hmm.
I went to Catholic church and then to a evangelical church, Protestant church. And I remember that in the Protestant, that's the pronunciation,
Protestant.
Protestant,
Protestant. Mm-hmm.
Protestant. In the Protestant, there was a moment where the pastor, the shepherd, he would say, "Let's pray." Like, and we would pray out loud, everyone with a different prayer. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would even listen to their prayers, what they were saying in the name of God. And they were very fervorous. And is that a word? Am I making up this word? Fervorous? Is that a word?
Fervorous. Um,
Fervorous? Yeah,
wait,
they were
like
very,
um, fervorous. I don't think fervorous
I am
like
making that up.
fervent.
Maybe. So I
Like they
would
were very like
loud,
uh, intense.
intense with
Mm-hmm.
their prayers. And I would do that too. I would say my prayers out loud. And so I guess when Matt does that, it feels familiar. And also, I mean, everyone is saying the same thing. So I feel like it's it's a bit stronger, I think, to have that many people in the room. It's good for me to know that I'm not the only one going through things, because sometimes when you meet people, they don't. I always had that, like, me like to talk about my feelings and how I'm feeling and being very honest with my flaws. But what I noticed is that people, they're not as open, and they will tell you their victories, but they won't tell you their losses. And in
Mm.
that way, I always felt like in the spiritual path when I was Catholic,
Catholic.
Catholic,
Catholic.
Catholic, or Protestant, I would feel lonely. Like you see those people being doing good and being an example, but you do not always know that what they had to overcome to get there and what the current struggles are. So it it's good for me. Like even when I'm teaching, I like to put my students together in a group class so they can see that they are not the only ones struggling. Because when you're alone, when you don't have people going through the similar things, it's easy
Mm-hmm.
for you to think you won't be able to do it. You are the worst. So the repeat after me and the way Matt put things is different from, for example, Eckhart Tolle. I love Eckhart Tolle as well, but it would be him talking in a stand, and he will ask people's questions. But I don't know. It feels like in order to, I don't know, drink from that teaching, you have to be in a level. And with Matt, I feel like it literally like come as you are. Like,
Yeah, and it forms a connection between him and everyone who's there,
yeah,
and it's a nice connection with everyone. So yeah, you're right. I like that.
yeah, yeah. So we only have 5 more minutes. I wanted to ask you, the last thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think he talks also like we should ask ourselves what makes you unsafe? And he says that safety isn't knowing nothing can get you, but the realization that if anything is meant to get you, it's only going to make you better. I like that. And I wanted to ask you if you have ever felt unsafe in your spiritual path or in your life. And because I know that you have gone through so many things, and I really admire you, and I truly admire you what you've been teaching your daughter and the
Oh,
connection that you
thank
have with
you.
her, the way
Thanks.
you seem to have her back, and how you talk to her sometimes during lessons. And I feel so much. I feel like you are irradiating compassion. It's difficult for me to think of you as someone afraid of anything. Like, and I wanted to like take this opportunity and thank you because I've been so present. Now it's easy to be present in your presence. It's easy.
Oh,
Did I say it was difficult? It's easy.
No, you said it's easy.
Oh, okay. English. It's easy to be present. Sorry. It's easy to be present in your presence. And sometimes I will have a lesson, a Portuguese lesson with you. And before you, I had another student. And after you, I'll have another sometimes. And it's easy to see how I am in front of you and how you impact me. And I can only imagine that it's how you impact other people, maybe sometimes even without knowing. So I want to take this
Wow,
opportunity to
thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
that.
That's so lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, but I was curious to know, being and like irradiating that strong, have you ever felt unsafe? And how is it for you this now?
Hmm. There have been times when I have felt um, unsafe. I can think of one relationship that I had that turned out to be, it ended up being an abusive relationship. So this person was really emotionally abusing me. And then it started getting a little bit physically abusive, um, to the point where I had to just figure out how I could just leave this person. Um, so as far as like physically unsafe and having that adrenaline super high, like I need to go. That was one time in my life where I just really felt like if I don't remove myself from this situation, I could be in great harm, like
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, mentally, physically. Um, and so I did. I managed to leave and not look back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, lately, though, and that was many years ago. Lately, though, I guess it's in taking risks by going outside of what would be safe or comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even with like career choices,
Mm-hmm.
like right now, I've been at this job in a public school for 2 years. It's the highest salary I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and last year, I decided I I don't want to work there because it was not fulfilling to me. It wasn't like something that I loved doing. The place where I was living, I just needed to change. So here I am. I'm about to move next month, and
Wow.
there's a lot of unknowing. Like when we arrive to that other state, I'm going to have 3 weeks from the time we arrive until the time my daughter has to be in school for her first day. So I have to get everything into place, like find an apartment, get some furniture,
Mm-hmm.
register her for school, and do all of that, administrative stuff. So it's a little scary, and I know for many people it would just be taunting. But
Mm-hmm.
when I bring myself back to that, trusting that I'm always right where I need to be, and the universe always gives me what I need when I need it. The fact that I trust that so much, I know that the process will be fine.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll
Yeah,
be
even
fine.
even when
So,
we worry, things they work themselves out. They work out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So why worry? Like,
yeah. So,
yeah,
that could potentially be a place where people would feel not safe. It's a little
yeah.
scary, a little on the edge, but I'm okay with it. Do you have another class right now, or do you have
No,
a few minutes?
no, no,
I
no.
don't either, so I can
Okay,
talk for a few more minutes.
okay.
I'm curious to know about you as well. With that same question, like feeling unsafe.
Yeah, I feel unsafe of being me, I guess.
Hmm.
And that's I sometimes will wonder when, if at all, like if I lost myself in any I guess I with my parents, then relationships, it feels to me like I was losing a little bit of myself, and all of my journey now is getting back to who I was, because
Mhm.
I mean, or maybe I could like reconstruct someone. I don't have to be looking back, and or maybe I can just be and allow, because I will look back and I'll say, wow, I was a person who read 50 books a year. I remember going to Facebook and making a top 10, but it's been like 4 years or 5 years that I don't even have a top 10 because I haven't read 10 books at all. And I would love to read. And if you come to me for advices, I would quote a book. I would say,
Mhm.
I read a book once. There was this story, this princess, and she did that, and I think it worked for
Mhm.
her. I would give you advice. I mean, and I liked that. And I didn't have problems with the way I look with my body. I have some body problems. Like I think sometimes I will think that if I were skinny or thin, I wouldn't have the problems that I have. My father wouldn't be an alcoholic. And I know there's no correlation to my father drinking and me not
Yeah.
looking the way I think I'm supposed to look. So I guess I'm I feel unsafe in my own body, like with the way I look, with the ideas that I have, with the thoughts that I have. And yeah, and sometimes I will be alone in my house, not connecting really with people because I think that I should come to them in another form. Sometimes people would send me messages, lovely messages like you did. And then I would look at those messages and I'm like, one day I'll be the person who I need to be to answer and to be in a relationship with this awesome human being. So I'm not
Mm.
there yet. So let me take some more time, let me heal a little bit more, and I'll contact them once I'm enough, like once I'm whole and
Ah.
complete. And so I am afraid of unsafe in my skin. And
Mm.
yeah, and that's something that I need to overcome. Like, but I guess I'm doing the best I can. I'm meditating, I'm trying, and I'm trying. And I
Aw.
know that now. I wouldn't know that back then.
Yeah.
I have this.
Mhm.
If you ask me that, I couldn't tell that to myself like a year ago. I wouldn't know what I was doing or why I was being the way I was or acting the way I was. So there is a little bit of awareness now. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, too much, right?
It's funny. I think we all have these things about ourselves and like physical appearances too that we just want to change or wish that we're different, you know?
Yeah.
You mentioned things about your physical body and then I sit here and I one of my things has been like hair and your hair. And I've thought, God, if I just had hair like Camilla's
I
or
love
just
your
had this
hair.
long, beautiful hair, curly hair.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. Oh, but thank you.
Yeah.
But I love your hair. Really,
Oh,
really,
thanks.
you're
Thanks.
beautiful.
I'm growing it out, so we'll see how long it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but I think we will get there. I mean,
Yeah.
I know so much more than I knew a month ago. I can see that
Mhm.
I'm getting better every day. Um, but sometimes, yeah, but these things, what I realize that helps the most is to be in contact with people that make you feel safe. Like I said earlier to you, like being with you make me feel present. And being present means that I'm not in my mind, like creating stories, going back and forth. It's just like I'm in the moment. I'm in, I'm enjoying fully the moment. So I think being with people who can make you feel that way or not create more compulsive energy at least, because there are people who
Yeah.
will make me like question and doubt myself, but it's not their fault at all. I mean, but
No,
they will
it's
be,
just yeah.
yeah.
It's just the way that two people are together or groups of people are together. And I think that what you just said is a huge realization. And that's something that I've realized over the past couple months. Like if if someone that I've maybe in the past considered to be a friend is not really enhancing my experience and making me feel worse about myself, worse about the world, do I want to spend time with them? Do I want to give them my time? Because you've realized like your time is really precious, and it is very important to um, just take a look at how we feel when we're with another person. And if they're enhancing your life and your experience of the world, then more is good. But
Exactly.
if not, then sometimes you have to, it's sad, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to either like cut those ties or just push it back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for reminding
Thank
us
you.
that. That's
Thank you,
important.
Patricia. Thank you. I wanted to thank you for this conversation. It was
Thank you
lovely.
so
Every
much.
conversation we have is lovely. And
I agree.
I wish you a good Sunday, a good week, and we'll speak soon.
Oh, I wish the same to you. Yes, okay, thank you so much.
Bye, Patricia. Bye bye.
Bye, Camilla. Bye.